So this morning, as we are rolling into Christmas season, I'm going to show you Christians what you are actually worshiping. I will first go to the words of Paul in Romans 2:29. Now, you Christians, you use the term Christian as the template for righteousness. But what did the apostle to the Gentiles use as a word, as a term, as a template for righteousness? But he is a Jew who is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart in the ruach, not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of not God, but Yehovah. As I have proven to you many times, the name is Yehovah. So the one who is circumcised of the heart is not a Christian, but he is a Jew. How do you like that? Now, what I want to do is it here. So, people will point to the term Christian written 3 times in, as they say, the Bible. But Cephas, not Peter. Do you folks notice a pattern here? It is a system of deception by word identification, by word labeling. There was no such disciple named Peter. The word Peter comes from the pagan idol Yehoshua, or otherwise known as Jupiter. Peter means father. Yehoshua is what Yehoshua called, labeled as Satan. In fact, Paul called him Cephas. So, after I show you this, if you suffer as a Christian, do not be ashamed, but glorify Elohim, Jehovah Elohim, that you glorify Jehovah in this matter. Not that you bear that name, that you glorify Jehovah Elohim in this behalf. So the Syrians in Antioch were the ones who called the people Christian. It was not they themselves who did that. It was Gentiles, pagans, who called them that. Now, since Cephas, not Peter, a Galilean, as they say, spoke Hebrew, and since he was given his discipleship to the Hebrews, he was speaking in, guess what? Hebrew. So, what is the word that he would have been using? Nazrim is not just a modern Hebrew word, and it's not for Christian. Christian, the word Christian came later, thrown at the Hebrews by the Syrians. The word is Nazrim. derived from the Hebrew name of Nazareth. The term originated from the Hebrews' references to followers of not Jesus, but Yehoshua of Nazareth, who was called the Nazarene or Hanatsri. You see, folks? You see what they did? Now, so where did this Jesus Christ come from? Now, as I pointed out to you years ago, proof that Jesus Christ was indeed born 834 BCE. Right here, AI is also now joining in the deception and claiming that Jesus Christ, the claim that Jesus Christ was born 834 BC is incorrect. The 834 BC date is associated with some non-scholarly sources with the birth of the Celtic Druid deity Jesus Christ. It's the same name. Also known as Jesus, same name. Not Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Now, here's the thing. There was no such a Jew named Jesus Christ. Never was. Proof. We're going to go here. I'll give you proof. Watch this here. Watch carefully. Shall call his name Jesus. Alright? We'll look in Luke 1:31. Let's see if that's the name that Gabriel gave to Miriam, not Mary. You see a pattern here, folks? And you shall call his name Jesus. Is that what it says? No, that's not what it says. Since Miriam spoke Hebrew, and since the messenger Gabriel, who has a Hebrew name, spoke to her in Hebrew, then the name would have been Yehoshua. As you see right here. So AI is wrong. There is no such thing as a Jesus Christ of Nazareth. There was a Yehoshua Moshiach. Of Nazareth. So who is this other fellow? Who is this other fellow then? Jesus Christ or Jesus Christ? Well, let's look at the dates of birthdays, right? So, in ancient Rome, December 25th was celebrated as an official birthday and festival of the god Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. There is also a tradition, though heavily debated by modern scholars, that Roman mystery god Mithras was celebrated as being born on December the 25th. This festival, called Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, birthday of the unconquerable sun, was formally established by the Roman Emperor Aurelian on December 25th, 274 CE. This date was significant because it marked the winter solstice in the Julian calendar, symbolizing the return of longer days and the victory of light over darkness. The celebration of Sol Invictus was an attempt to unify various solar cults within the empire under a single state-sanctioned deity. So followers of the mystery cult of Mithraism, which was popular among Roman soldiers, also held a major festival around December 25th. Many sources suggest that this was to celebrate the birth of Mithras, which was often associated with the sun god Sol. However, there is scholarly debate with some experts regarding the December 25th festival was a general celebration of the sun, Natalis Invicti, and not a specific birth date of the core Mithraic mythology. Blah, blah, blah. See, claims, but it's all true. See, now, like I said, AI is now participating in deception by claiming that Roman gods, such as Jupiter, Mars, and Venus, were not born on December 25th. Well, they're trying to hide. They're trying to hide what has been celebrated all these years. Now, we got. So we have, according to the last article, there are multiple sun gods, and one classic example is Lugh, the Irish god, who most frequently associated with the sun, though the link is primarily through his name, which means light or brightness, while he was a powerful, multi-skilled god of skill, justice, warfare. Deities like Ain, or I don't speak Irish, so Gaelic, Celtic, whatever. Association with the summer and the sun and the feminine sun personification, Grian also had solar connections. All right. Okay, so this article, I'm not going to read the whole article. It just goes in a long drawn out how December 25th became Christmas, and I want to go to the last portion. The most loudly touted theory about the origins of Christmas date is that it was borrowed from pagan celebrations. The Romans had their Winter Saturnalia festival in late December. Barbarian peoples of northern and western Europe kept holidays at similar times. To top it off, in 274 CE, the Roman Emperor Aurelian established a feast for the birth of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, on December 25th, Christmas. The argument goes, is a real spin-off from these pagan solar festivals. According to the theory, early Christians deliberately chose these dates to encourage the spread of Christmas and Christianity throughout the Roman world. So, in essence, these Christians literally lived the term, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. Literally, including going around and murdering people in the name of their newfound name, Jesus. Which that began with Emperor Constantine. And I have done several videos on Emperor Constantine and Constantine's Creed. You should go check those videos out. But, folks, Apollo, who's Apollo? Well, we'll get into that. Is a Greek god of many things, including light, music, poetry, prophecy, and archery, while commonly referred to as the sun god. Here we go again. This is a later association when he was syncretized with the Greek sun god Helios and the Roman sun god Sol. His Roman name is also Apollo. I want you to remember that. Now, but wait a minute. AI review or AI overview claims Apollyon is not the same as Apollo. Though the name Apollyon is a wordplay, that references the Greek god Apollo in the book of Revelation. So he is. Which one is it, AI? So he is. He is Apollyon. Apollyon is a demonic figure in the Bible whose name means destroyer, while Apollo is a Greek god associated with light, music, and healing, among other things. The Bible uses the name Apollyon to evoke Apollo's connection to destruction, plague, and the locust symbol, which also symbolize a powerful evil force according to Christianity.com. The biblical figure, an angel who is the king of the locusts from the abyss, as described in Revelation 9:11. His name in Greek for destroyer, it is a clear link to the Hebrew name Abaddon, which is also identified as the messenger of the Abyssos. So the symbolism here, the name Apollyon, is a deliberate wordplay on Apollo because Apollo was associated with both healing and plague. His cult used the locust as a symbol. So AI trying to say, oh, there's a difference between the two, inadvertently said there is no difference between the two. And why is that? We go to the book of Revelation. The fifth shofar sound. And the fifth messenger sounded, and I saw not a star. No. If you read Revelation 6, you will find out it is a multitude of asteroids. You see, singular or plural. Fall from heaven unto the earth, and to it, not him, to it was given the key of the abyss. Now, the Abyssos. What is the Abyssos? See, Christians tell on themselves. Okay, Christ of the Abyss is a famous underwater bronze statue of Jesus Christ with the most well-known replica. Well, we don't want to know where the replica is. We want to know where the real thing is. There are 3 identical statues in total created by Italian sculptor Guido Galletti. The original was placed in the Mediterranean Sea near Portofino, Italy in 1954. The Mediterranean Sea. And the Greeks often referred to the Mediterranean Sea as the Abyssos, and there are 2 abyssal zones in the Mediterranean Sea. I'll show you. The Ionian Sea and the Tyrrhenian Sea. See? There it is. Once again, AI is using wordplay to deceive, but they tell on themselves. Once again, the Mediterranean Sea does not have distinct, separate abyssal zones in the way that oceans do, but it contains areas that fit the definition of an abyssal plain, such as the Ionian Sea and the Tyrrhenian Sea. And one of them happens to be between Greece and Rome. Let's look up and see. I think it's the Tyrrhenian Sea. Let's just take a guess. Is it this one? No, no, that's the other one. Ionian Sea. All right. Right here. See that? Ionian Sea. So this is one abyssal zone, Tyrrhenian Sea, and this is the other abyssal zone. So, the king of the abyss sits between the two abyssal zones. So he is Rome, the king of Rome. Does that make sense to you now? You see what I just showed it to you. Now, where was I? So, we continue. See, Abyssos. And he opened up the Abyssos, or it opened up the Abyssos, and there arose a smoke out of, it says, the well. I mean, the water. That's what it really should mean, the water. As the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by the reason of the smoke of the well. And there came out of the smoke locusts. Remember that? Upon the earth, and to them was given power, as scorpions of the earth have power, and it was commanded that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any tree, any green thing or tree, but only those men who do not have the seal of, not God, but Jehovah, in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tortured. 5 months, and their torture was like the torture of a scorpion when he strikes a man. And those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And then you wonder why the folks in Europe, with the exception of maybe Switzerland, are not allowed to have weapons. Now the shapes of the locusts were like unto the horses prepared for battle, and on their heads were, as it were, like a crown of gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of women. You have to understand, Yochanan was just describing the best way he could what he was seeing. And they had teeth as the teeth of lions, and they had breastplates, even as breastplates of iron. Well, guess what? Locusts do not have breastplates of iron. So he was describing something that looked like a locust, but had, and it says the sound of their wings was as the sounds of chariots of many horses running to battle. There's only one sound other than that, and that is the sound of a helicopter, folks. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there was not stings on their tails, no. A sharp point in their tail. See that? Sharp point in their tail. This is clearly describing helicopters, and the power was to hurt men for 5 months. Why? Because something just happened. Something was thrown out of the sky. Asteroids, plural, was thrown out of the sky onto the Ionian Sea and the Tyrrhenian Sea areas, that caused darkness to cover the land. And they had a king over them, which is the messenger of the Abyssos. You know, this guy. Well, it just got rid of it. This mouse, I need to get rid of this mouse. But the Christ of the abyss. All right? And whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name is Apollyon, or Apollo. Now, let's look at the tomb of Julii. Okay? The popularly named tomb of Julii, Mausoleum M, survives in the Vatican necropolis beneath St. Peter's Basilica. And St. Peter's Basilica used to be the temple of Deuspiter, Satan. Now, remember, when Yehovah told the ancient Israelites to go into the land of Canaan, they are supposed to destroy all of the idols and all of their houses of worship. Well, that's not what Christians did. They converted or reverted, however you want to look at it, to paganism. The serendipitous discovery near the crypt had a vaulting ceiling bearing a mosaic depicting a solar deity with an aerial riding in his chariot within a framing of rincho of vine leaves. The surrounding Christian iconography, such as other mosaics in this tomb, depict Jonah and the whale, the good shepherd carrying a lamb, and the fishermen have led to an interpretation of the deity as Christ, known in this form as Christus Sol or Christ Apollo. Folks, do you not see what you Christians are worshiping? Due to these symbols, the tomb is interpreted as an early Christian vault. Alan Brent has described it as a synthesis between Christ and Apollo in the context of Emperor Aurelian's promotion of Sol Invictus as the chief god of the Roman Empire. Messenger of the abyss. On each side of Rome is the abyssal zones, or the abyssal zones of the Mediterranean Sea. According to Brent, Sol Invictus, with whom Apollo also could be identified, represented the shared deity of all individual gods, and the Christian creators of the tomb of the Julii wished to express the metaphysical order in the cosmos in terms of a Christian syncretism. So, Christian syncretism now has Jesus Christ as the angel of the abyss, the demon. Now, let me show you what happens when you play with demons. This occurrence was only 5 months. Then comes the next one. The sixth messenger sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before Jehovah Elohim, not God, saying to the sixth messenger which had the shofar, not trumpet, loose the four messengers which are bound in the great river Euphrates, and the four messengers were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, a day, a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men, dead. And the number of the army of the cavalry were 2 myriad. And I heard the number of them, and I saw the horses in the vision. And that which was seated upon them, having breastplates of fire, jacinth, and brimstone. Here's what we're going to do. Come on. All right, fine. I'll just create another window. Yars ICBM. Images. I've done this over and over and over again. I've showed this to you over and over and over and over again. I can get it to come up and get it to blow up. All right. Fire, that's the red star, red and white star. Yellow and black on the breastplate. Okay? The breastplate of fire, of jacinth, of brimstone. Jacinth is either black and orange, or black and yellow. In this instance, it is yellow, because brimstone is yellow, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth came fire, smoke, and brimstone. By these three were the third part of men killed, by the fire, by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which came out of their mouth, for the power is in their mouth and in their tail. For the tails were like unto serpents, and those tails had heads, like warheads, and with them they do injure. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils. So, worshiping the devil, Jesus Apollo, or Jesus Apollyon, is going to get the Christian world a flaming disaster that's going to kill a third of men upon the entire earth, because you were worshiping the devil.